Hi, welcome to Peer Review, Critiquing for Personal and Peer Reviews. The overall idea, the purpose of doing a peer review or reviewing your own work is to focus on editing, which is the big picture, proofreading, looking at the specific conventions, and critiquing, looking at an analytical evaluation to fully communicate the ideas and concepts of the work. The tools that we use are things like the checklists in our course shell and a handy teacher tool, PQP, which stands for Praise, Question, Praise. There are two checklists I want you to check out within our course shell. In session 4, we have a checklist to walk through called Editing is Not the Same as Proofreading, and it's going to give you a juxtaposition of the two concepts and walk you through that. Session 5 has a peer evaluation form as a document. We are going to use this on papers in session 5, and we're going to submit that form to 2 classmates. Let's look at each one. So the first idea is to walk through the idea that editing on the left is going to cover different ideas than proofreading, which is on the right. So for editing, we're going to look at content, we're going to look at structure, clarity, and for proofreading, we're going to look at grammar and spell check, punctuation. 2 key elements I want you to take away. 1, utilize Pearson Writer. We don't encourage you to get this just to spend money. It's a great support structure. It's something that even I use because I need to have those items looked at. I need a second set of eyes. So you are going to look at it yourself and you're going to catch things, but your peers are also going to catch things, and Pearson Writer would catch even more. There are other programs too, things like Grammarly. You can also use the built-in features for Microsoft Word and for Mac Pages. One thing that I like to utilize is the find feature. It can look for specific errors that I have. If I'm struggling with comma splices, I can look for all of the commas. I can look for all of the joining words. Any of those particular features that keep cropping up, use Control F, type in that idea, and look for it throughout your paper. In session 5, you're going to turn in 2 of these forms. You're going to share them with a peer. You're going to read your peer's paper, and you're going to share this with them. It's a good idea to start looking at it now and to start seeing what you would want to use. So the response blocks are really small. The idea is that you're not writing a book. You're not writing another paper. You're considering the idea, and you're giving a short evaluation. Start looking at what that evaluation should have. Does it work to just say yes or no? Practice on yourself. Figure out what's helpful. Is it helpful to say yes or no? Is it more helpful to give a short explanation or possibly an example? So start playing with what your work is doing and see what happens. What are we doing all of this for? How do we make it really, really work? PQP is a form and an approach that I try to use, so look for it in your grading comments and see if I'm succeeding. So the goal of a peer review is not to show that you know more or less than a classmate. It's to help your classmates be better and to have them help you be better. So an easy way to achieve that is to follow this method, PQP, which stands for Praise, Question, and Polish. What are those? Let's walk through them. Praise. What has the author done well? The focus here isn't on what you like the most, because there are plenty of essays you won't necessarily like the topic of or have picked out that topic yourself. Rather, you're looking at what part of writing or what part of the paper did the author do well. For instance, does your peer have a great hook? Do they bring you in to that topic really well and in an exciting way? Well, tell them that. Tell them why you think it's working. Is their thesis done well? Well, tell them and tell them how they did it. So my examples here are the thesis is engaging and makes me want to keep reading. The main points are clear, which helps me focus on the overall idea. I'm giving a little bit of a vague example because I'm not critiquing a specific paper. But look for those kinds of clear elements to help your reader understand that things like their thesis or their main points are working. Next question. What questions does this paper raise? Is there a question about the topic that you would like answered? Is there something overall about the paper that you don't fully understand? Remember, this is a conversation between your peer and you, similar to the conversations you and I have. You are not obligated to answer every question. You're not obligated, and you should not explore every single question or take it strictly to heart. You and your peers will hopefully get 20 plus questions. So take the ones that work for you, take the ones that encourage you, engage you, and push your work forward, and don't take the ones that don't do that. Salt it down, as it were. These are all suggestions. They're discussion points. Often as not, what your peers see is very different than what I'm looking at. So I always hope that you'll take mine a little more seriously, but I want you to think about that as you're going through here, that your peer is coming to this paper with a similar knowledge base as you, hopefully a similar knowledge base. And so they are going to pick out things that they hope are correct, things that they hope they can help you with. But again, those may not be helpful for your specific purpose, so don't take it too much to heart. Polish. What could the author do to make the paper better? Like the praise section, this is about process. What part of the paper or the writing can the author polish to make that essay shine, to make it communicate the ideas really clearly? Could the paper use, for instance, a better look at commas? That's a problem with every one of my husband's papers, and he writes textbooks, but it's still an issue. It's still something that he has to focus on, that he's always learning about. Could the word choices be polished? This isn't a place to be mean. It's a place to consider what you would appreciate hearing about and receiving, and to give that to your peer. Hopefully, a peer review, especially from several people, will give you a chance to get many suggestions and many perspectives so that you learn to appreciate what is useful and what people are reading, and that you share that with them and explore it with other people. So the main goal is to have fun learning. If you want to explore more about PQP, I really enjoyed this PDF exploration. So check it out and have fun exploring.